All right, and let me share my screen. Share the sound. Hello. Hi. All right, everyone. So let's start off. Good morning, and let's start off with the syllabus and the schedule. Believe it or not, it is week 6 already, the day after Valentine's Day. So we wrapped up our brochure last week. Autumn, I just told everyone I printed the brochures and put them in the Creative Center on the counter, just for everyone to kind of look at your work, be inspired by it. So today I want to introduce the next project, which will be our second project, which will take us from week 6 all the way through week 11. So this is going to be our next major project. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to build off what you kind of already learned from my design fundamentals classes. And we're going to do a video, only this being more of a typography class. I'd like you to build the video with a little bit more emphasis on typography. Doesn't have to be all type. In fact, it probably would be better if it was a little bit of type and a little bit of video and or a little bit of photographs. Good morning. Good morning. So last week, I had you go out and look at some of these videos to kind of get ready for this. I'll show you those, not the videos, but just the website and the instructions. And then we'll see if you have any questions, okay? It's a pretty straightforward assignment. So I'm gonna hop over here to my website. This would be under Designing with Type class, the second project or assignment here, Typographic Animated Video. You will see up on the screen here, on your screen or at home, there are 4 different web pages. The first one gives you instructions. The second one, I just have some examples for you to look at. The third one is tutorials. And these are tutorials that I made myself that will help you kind of guide you through the process. And then I also have a couple other animated tutorials that I pulled off of YouTube, or I linked from on YouTube, that I thought were helpful in explaining some things you might want to learn about After Effects as well. Okay, so just a quick overview here. You're basically becoming storytellers, right? That's what animated videos do, marketing videos, explainer videos, whatever they want to call them. That name's always going to change, but they basically will tell a story about a product or educate someone in kind of a story mode about some form of a topic or information. So we'll have a subtle emphasis on type to help deliver that message. As far as themes, I would try to educate your audience on a way for you to improve your health. That's kind of my goal for you to focus on here. It could be your mental health, it could be your relationship health, it could be your just physical health. I'm pretty open to anything like that, but I'd like you to learn something along the way that will help you in that sense. So I'd like it to be a 30 to 60-second video, focusing on topics that you and your viewer could learn about to improve your health. We'll do the whole video in After Effects, and we'll export it again using Adobe Media Encoder. Okay, so just kind of running through our checklist here. Ooh, let me let Chen in here. So looking at our checklist here, find an article. It can be a website, it could be a printed magazine, from a credible source that shows how you and your viewer can improve their health. What I'd prefer you do is simplify all of the text so you have like 5 to 10 facts that you can use as headlines and subheads. These headlines and subheads really could be 1 to 2 words each, and that's it. Remember, you're kind of capturing their attention in a video where you really only have 30, 60 seconds. So you don't want to have paragraph after paragraph in there. And my example will kind of show that. I would suggest you use kind of the ever popular square format, 1080 by 1080. If you want to do full res, where you do 1920 by 1080, I'm okay with that. If you want to do like widescreen, that works with social media, but Instagram is kind of the driver behind this whole 1080 by 1080. And most companies, right now in our second year, we're starting a project for Habitat for Humanity. If you go to their website and their social media, all they do is square because it fits all social media, and you only have to make one video or one social media graphic. So that's what most of the world does right now. Optional, you can comp this in Illustrator or Photoshop. I'll show you what that means in a little bit. Optional also, you can use the storyboard sheet that I have below to help lay out your ideas and kind of storyboard your scenes. We'll animate this in After Effects, render it in Media Encoder. I would suggest you find your stock videos from Pexels or Pixabay, or of course your own, if you want to shoot your own. Kind of amazing what those phones will give you for quality these days. So do that if you'd like. I would do all your stock music unless you write your own from Bensound. It's a good place to start. Typefaces, I would look at the font Squirrel. And we'll go through a couple of critiques on this as a class again, using the discussion board. I really like the whole process of 2 critiques. In some of my second year classes, we'll do 4 critiques of the same project. There'll be 2 that are done on discussion board, and then students are constantly sending me their work to say, I know we're in between critiques, but will you look at it again and give me feedback? So I'm always open to that, but we'll do 2 official critiques that are worth points. It's always best to nurture these along and get check-ins frequently. So I like that process. And you know, it really proves to be true looking at the beautiful brochures we have out there, where we just kind of nurture them week in and week out. That seems to work really well for everyone. And then we'll present your final rendered MP4. We'll see if we have time to do that in class. I always have these high hopes we're going to like spend a day and present all the videos and stuff, and then, you know, life takes over. So we'll see how that goes. The cool thing is we can find a way to present all of them, even if I just put them up on a website. But, you know, week in, week out, students tell me they want to see each other's work. And I think that that's important. That's an important growth area for you too, to see kind of what the quote competition is doing. Okay, so how are we doing here? Let me double check my chat here. Forget that sometimes. Good, everyone's good. All right. So your social media, kind of a typographic, animated, explainer video, whatever they're calling them. I like personally just marketing videos. They're always selling, pushing something. So once these are done, these squares work pretty much everywhere. I know this is a little bit of a refresher from design fundamentals, but this is good. Email marketing. They certainly will fit in email marketing. Responsive ads and social media is probably one of the most popular places. Apps, inside of apps, advertising, presentations like I'm doing right here, websites. You know, and sometimes you're surprised too. I did an animated video for kind of as a freelance project for Habitat for Humanity. And it was meant to be a square to be used on social media. And their executive director liked it so well that she played it through all the playoffs the last 2 years as a commercial on TV. And there was like white chunks on the side of it and stuff, but they didn't care. So I was okay with that because I kind of just did it for them, and they own it once you do it. So you'd be surprised how many places it can be used, and it's just a screen. So I want you to choose your own topic that shows how to improve your health. I have a bunch of ideas on here. So it can be, you know, what you might think initially like the physical or mental health. But you could do something a little more focused, like how consistent exercise can improve your health, eating more fruits and vegetables, managing work-life school balance, nurturing personal relationships. Welcome, Dylan. Tips to improve your personal relationships, make them more healthy. How about something to balance social media time with real face-to-face time with people? How about something that kind of takes a couple of causes and you show how walking or biking instead of using gas-powered transportation can improve your health or improve the health of your community. Show how certain vitamins and minerals improve your health. Meditation and mindfulness, how to reduce stress and anxiety, or just find something that's important to you. When I say I'd like you to find like a credible source, just use your own, like, I guess, intellect when you say that, or when I say that. The example that I'm going to show you, I found from Harvard Health, online magazine, Harvard Health. And if you find something with an edu behind it, which is usually a college doing research, something of a medical facility doing some kind of research, those are usually going to be pretty good. I'm always a little bit leery of the .orgs sometimes because not that they're not good, but sometimes they are more opinion driven. And maybe less research-based. And you can tell when they've taken an article, like a research article, and turned it into like an online journal article or something like that. And I really want you to try to focus on finding, like, simplifying your message so you have this 5 to 10 factoids that you can reduce down and put those in there. Okay, so here's kind of my example. So I think I know I've shared my volume, so you should be able to hear this at home too. So I'll just play this for everyone. A lot of type at the bottom, but simplify the words into 3 to 5 words, and headlines and subheads. And then a little call to action at the end where get out into the sunshine, it makes you happy. So a gentle call to action on there. You will also notice down at the bottom here, I have cited my article, A Prescription for Better Health, Go Al Fresco, Harvard Health, 2010, October 12th. So I'd like you to cite your articles too. Class, I haven't totally buffed this out, but there's a potential that these are for a real client right now. So if you do something for, really all of this fits into a certain United Nations Sustainable Development Goals plan that the college uses. That plan as our sustainable development. And I have a good relationship with Casey Meehan, who is our director of sustainability at the college. And my goal would be that all of these will be used on his social media sites for sustainability here at the college. And he's always open to this, but this is my first time through this project. So I kind of want to see how it goes. But the reason that I'm having you cite your work and put that on the last scene is because when he does stuff like that for the college, it has to be more scholarly and it has to be cited and referenced if they're going to present it as kind of fact to the world through their social media. So that's why I asked you to find credible articles and make sure you cite them here. I do have the shorter citation here. I use citationmachine.com. It's a great way just to cite your work. You probably have your own that you might be using for some of your papers. Or if you just know how to write off the back of your hand, MLA or APA or something like that, citations, go for it. You don't have to do anything in text, but just at the end, cite where you got your information. Okay. So you can see how it looks on Facebook. When you post this, it makes it just full width and a big, huge square. All right, so some best practices for animated social media videos. Some of this is a refresher, but let's go through it anyway. It's been pretty popular the last maybe 4 years or so using 1-to-1 size ratio. 30 to 60 seconds is good. Those of you that frequent YouTube, you'll notice that some of their ads are literally like 3 to 5 seconds now. They're just so quick. Everything is getting shorter, shorter, shorter. In order to keep up with TikTok now, YouTube has gone to their shorts. the hashtag shorts, where they have like 15-second videos. I cannot believe, I'm smiling under my mask here, that society will ever evolve if that continues to be the norm, but that's where we are right now. But 30 to 60 seconds, I think, is good to tell your story. Always be focusing on trying to tell a story, and really that story is delivering your message, right? So if we want to keep someone healthy, we want to help someone learn how to be healthy, tell it with people and products and showing what's happening and how other people are interacting with that information. Try to highlight one topic or subject only, like mine was 8 ways that, you know, getting outdoors can help your health or improve your health. You could also title that something like, you know, 8 ways to exercise without feeling like you're exercising, just to go have fun outdoors or something. Large headlines to grab attention. I would try to do 1 photo or a graphic with each of those headlines to grab attention. Don't try to dump everything in the kitchen sink in here. It won't work well. I would try to brand your design with consistent typography, colors, layout, repeatable design elements. You see that in my video, I use this, the same type across the bottom, and I use this same kind of swooping vector shape at the bottom with another layer of opacity above it to soften my transition into the videos. This was always consistent. The colors changed a little bit to match what they were doing for their outdoor activity. But the typeface was always the same. It was always moving in a similar fashion so that the viewer didn't have to do a lot of work to learn a new scene every time you transition. They know where the information is. It was always at the bottom. So think about that consistency when you're doing it. And try not to overdo all the zooming and flying that we know we can do in here, okay? Keep your message legible, kind of calming. So I'll let you look through this, but the process is pretty simple. You know, define your message, write your headlines, come up with a typeface, some photos and videos, music or sound that fits it, and then start putting it all together. I'm not going to tell you the exact process you want, class, because I like you to kind of find your way, and everyone works a little bit differently. So some of the next ideas here is, you can see on here, I find almost all of my stuff first, and then I build my animations. Some people like to say, you know, I have a photo or 2 here. I'm going to play around with my first screen a little bit. That's okay. Whatever works for you is okay. Think about your basic storytelling scene. Some of my my colleagues that have worked in the video field for some of the multimedia companies, they say they call this a donut. The donut is basically where the front is always the same, the back or the end call to action is always the same, and they just swap out the images in the middle. So I had a colleague that used to work here that worked for Charter for a long time, and they were doing advertising for companies. They would open with a logo and maybe a picture of the products and a slogan or a subhead here. They would close with their website, their social media, kind of a call to action. And then they could put whatever message they wanted in the middle, and they never had to make the end and the beginning. They just used the same one over and over again for all the commercials, opened with the same thing, consistency, closed with the same thing. And then they just kept changing the campaign in the middle. So it works pretty well for almost everything we do, but try to identify in the very first frame what they're going to learn. I'm sure your online or your writing teachers tell you this, but one of the best ways to tell people something is kind of this 3-step process where you tell them what you're going to tell them, then you tell them, and then you tell them what you just told them. So you have a summary. It's same for a thesis paper, it's same for this. So you kind of introduce 8 outdoor activities to improve your health. I'm going to show them those 8 activities. I'm going to let them interact with people doing those activities, with type doing those activities, and design it in kind of a cool way. And then at the end, I'm going to say, you know, go out, soak it up, and get outside and push them to do what I just told them. So this is a good formula to work with. I do have this storyboard for your this sheet, so you can print this out if you'd like and sketch your ideas. I find this pretty helpful to use this. What I really find helpful, and probably the most important part, is to write your message clearly in 3 to 5 words up here. Then think about your audience, write a little bit about them, and then write your headlines. Write your headlines and your subheads. Once you have the message clearly written and defined, and you maybe force yourself to write it down, choosing your photos, your colors, your type, your layout, your design elements, it's all really that much easier because you know exactly what you're trying to tell someone. So get that message first. It's very important. Okay, so that is kind of the instructions for that. What kind of questions do you have? I'll take a look at the chat here if you have anything, or just turn your mic on and start talking at home if you need to. Is that pretty clear, class? Yes, Catherine.
Sorry, where do you find like stock video clips?
Sure. The question was, where do you find stock video clips? And in the grading here, where's my grading thing? Yeah, here. I've separated these out. So your stock videos, Pexels and Pixabay, they've kind of delved into the stock videos. That's where I found all of mine. For some reason, Unsplash hasn't really jumped into the videos yet. So, but Pexels and Pixabay are really good at what we call crowdsourced videos, where people upload stuff themselves. Good question. Okay, anything else? Any other questions? Okay, just waiting a little bit at home for everyone. All right, class, so if we go back here to designing with type, under instructions, we have examples. So I won't go through every one of these, but there's some that I found that deal with a lot of type and from all different types of industries. I showed this one a little bit last week, but not everyone was here. This is another one I did to just like really play up the type. So let me play this one through for you. One thing I want to point out is this effect that I have right here. You might be thinking like, well, I don't know how to do that. Well, there's a beauty to After Effects, and I wanted to give you kind of the reason I'm showing you this video is I did two things here. In the beginning, I did this animation right here where it kind of like stamps down all of the I love puppies right here. That is all done manually. So all of you having gone through kind of the initial design fundamentals class with me, those of you that did that, that is just taking a really big chunk of type, making it smaller just by scaling it. It just looks kind of fancy, but it's just the scale. And you're just making it scale and stamp in where it stamps. But this here, this process here, that would take a really long time, and it uses 3D motion in there. But what After Effects has is they have presets for animation. So all you do is, there's a video on this in here, I'll show you in just a second where you can watch it. It's a really good video where you just search in the effects. It's basically like putting a drop shadow on something in Illustrator, Photoshop, or InDesign, but you apply a preset animation just by taking that and dragging it onto your type layer, and it applies the animation automatically for you. So there's a ton of presets in there. I will tell you that for every 30 presets I look at, I find one that I kind of like. So it can be a little bit like a Chrome filter for your type in Photoshop or something. You're like, oh, that's kind of cool, but it doesn't look good or doesn't fit a lot of my work. But presets like that are something you can start with, and they're pretty helpful. Okay, so I'll let you look at these other video examples. These I just pulled off of the web, linking to them, and where they focus a little bit more on typography. Okay, so the one you're really looking for right now is the third one down here, is typographic animated video, the tutorial files. So these tutorial files here, these are videos that I made, and they're up on YouTube for you to watch, and they're linked to all in one page here. But they will basically show you how I created what I did. So I would suggest that you kind of watch the tutorial. You know, class, I use my website and I use the videos basically as your textbook for this class. So instead of reading a textbook, we're all kind of visual learners. It's better for me just to put a longer video together, let you read that or watch that, and then you can go back and replay it as many times as you want. So I would read through this entire tutorial, watch the video, how I created the 8 outdoor activities. That will also be a nice refresher for some of you on just like, okay, how did I set up that After Effects video, or how do I go in and change my time, stuff like that. Well, I can certainly help you here. A lot of it will just kind of come back to you if you just watch some of these helpful videos using it like a textbook in another class. So one thing that we have done in the past, like in Design Fundamentals, we created that woodworking video together so you had a shell. You don't have to do that for this one, but some students like to do it where they say, I want to kind of recreate something like this, but you don't have to do that. I'm flexible, and you can just jump right in and say, no, I remember what I did for After Effects. Or if you want to go back to Design Fundamentals, if you had it with me, and take your 15-second video and just do a save as and start with that and make that 30 or 45 seconds and use that as your shell. Whatever you want to do, I'm fine with it, okay? Whatever works best for you. So I'd start, of course, with your message, your audience, storyboard it. This is what my storyboard looked like here. And this, I really did this. It isn't like, oh, he just did that to show us an example. Kind of storyboarded what I'd like things to look like. I initially was thinking about get outdoors and get healthy. But then my first headline, 8 outdoor activities to improve your health. I've read quite a bit that for like a search engine optimization and getting clicks on websites on YouTube, that numbers tend to really drive people to do things like 10 steps to improve your health, or 3 easy steps to cooking dinner tonight, or something like that. So that's why I kind of moved on to from get outdoors, get healthy, to 8 outdoor activities. And then at the bottom, the comment section, I kind of talked about, I want it to be somewhat slow moving, type, but still legible, and a calming feel. So I kind of set the tone down here of relaxing and serene. And I wanted that to also drive the music. I want it to be a little bit kind of snappy, but not too crazy. So I have that for you to download. So this is the optional part I was telling you about. Whenever I do a video, I do what we call comping it in Illustrator or Photoshop. And that's just doing like a real comprehensive sketch of what that would look like scene by scene. So you can see I opened mine. I don't remember where I did these. I think I did these in Photoshop. But I did this in Photoshop, and I did 6 scenes. I knew that I would have more than 6 because I have 8 outdoor activities. But I just opened up Illustrator or Photoshop and made my screen or my pasteboard or my artboard 1080 by 1080 and just started designing this and laying it out. So I get a feel for what everything will look like, where everything will go as far as size and stuff like that. I may have to recreate a lot of this in After Effects, redraw it in After Effects, redo my type in After Effects, but that's okay because I kind of have an idea. And usually this comp stage, while I'm being flexible and you don't have to do it now, usually your client would always want to see this. They'd want to see kind of what it looks like before you build it in After Effects. And sometimes comping it is a big part of it, and then you maybe have half that time in rendering it and animating it in After Effects, but it's still a step. I think it's important because a client might come back and say, this whole concept is great, but I want 5 outdoor activities and I only want people under 30. So you never know, and you don't want to do too much work before you get the idea solidified with your client. So Chen had a question. Are we going to make a video about the healthy topic only or any topic randomly? I would prefer you only do this about a topic that will help improve your health, physical health, mental health, and focus on that, because then I'll be able to talk with Casey and say, hey, these worked out pretty well. I know it was our first project. Let's use these for real. And then when you graduate and you have your graduate portfolio, you have another real project for a real client. Okay. Now, this is the way I am, and you guys know this. If you just like, I can't do another thing on health, I don't want to do mental health, I don't want to do physical health, I have to do something else, fine, do it. Okay. I'll be flexible, and I want you to be happy with the project. You're going to work on it for 6 weeks, but try to focus on learning something about the health would be helpful, but I'll let you bend it if you need to and do something different. All right, good question. Thank you, Chen. Okay, so you can comp, and then, so what I did, class, and I find this to be pretty helpful, and I get pretty good feedback from students on this, is I have a video here where what I do is I sit down in front of After Effects. I usually do this over the summer, and I'll sit down in front of After Effects with all of my assets, and I will just make the video that I just showed you from start to finish with no breaks. And this is an hour and 8 minutes long, the one that I have right here, but this is my entire workflow. Everything is narrated from start to finish. So you see, like, if I forget to do something or where something is, you'll see that just in real life, because you'll have those struggles as well, and so do I. Having to know all these programs, I never remember what the perfect way to make a gradient is, because it's different in InDesign, it's different in After Effects, it's different in Illustrator, so it takes a while sometimes, and that's normal. So this is the entire workflow. However, I will also say that if you, there's 2 things in here that I think are really helpful for you, and that's making the gradient. That is new for you from what you did in, if you took my Design Fundamentals class. The gradient and making that transparent gradient is helpful. So what I did is I pulled that chunk of 6 minutes out of this video and made just a separate video on how to make a transparent gradient, which I think is helpful. And then I also pulled out a chunk of about 8 minutes here that is just focusing on drawing these kind of custom shapes in vector. Drawing with vector in After Effects is different, a little bit different, and more challenging sometimes than doing it in Illustrator. So I have some nuanced tips in here for this video. So if you watch the whole video, which I hope you do, to just kind of refresh yourself and pick up some tips and tricks, then you go back and you're like, I'd really like to just watch that gradient part. I've pulled those out, or the vector shape pulled out. So I also just wanted to build your skills a little bit. These are other videos that I made. This one is actually for one of my second-year classes where they do almost a full vector video and don't use a lot of videos. And you'll do this as you get into your second-year classes with me. So I have a specialized video I kind of pulled back, which is about 11 minutes, and it just kind of focuses nice and slow on vector drawings and dealing with the Bezier curves and stuff like that. So this one's pretty helpful. I have another one with just some timeline and keyframe tips and tricks I think is helpful. And then I have one that a lot of students, including myself sometimes, when you open up your After Effects file and you've lost all your links and you have kind of this cautionary, something's missing here. It's a simple 4-minute video to help you relink that footage. I tried to come up with videos that answer a lot of questions I get sometimes from students. Okay, so this is kind of your the tutorials to help you and kind of like your textbook for the class. And then lastly, I always have this when we're making a video, I have all the settings for media encoder, which are pretty simple, but I have screen captures to show you how to get and how to render your final video. Okay. So the last thing I have here in our class dropdown would be animated text tutorials. And I believe I simplified this to just one. No, I have two. No, I have one. The first one is just a screen capture that I made. And let me show you this. This is a simple version of it. After Effects comes with many presets to animate your text. So in After Effects, I just kind of showed you, this is a real quick still image tutorial. Create your text and select it. Choose your preset and double click it. So over here in Effects and Presets over here, you have animation presets and then text. And you can go in here and there's a whole bunch of them. So you can double click on this one. It will then apply it to your text and adjust the settings. Then you can adjust the settings in your layers palette. So this video does it's just kind of someone doing the videos like they do on YouTube where they say, these are the top 10 text presets. And it kind of shows some examples, but don't be afraid of the presets. They're pretty simple to use and apply, even if you don't go in and try to edit them, because sometimes this is kind of hard. We don't always know what they did in the 3D presets and stuff like that. But if you get what you like, sometimes this is kind of a cool way to animate your text and add a little flash to it without doing a whole bunch of extra work. Okay, that's all this is just about presets on here and where you can find the presets in After Effects. There's a lot of cool things you can try. And the cool thing is once you apply a preset to it, if you don't like it, you can just delete it, take it away. Okay, class, so that is about a half an hour's worth of that new project, but this is something that I think is really going to help you get a job down the road. Plus, it's going to teach you some good skills in After Effects, storytelling, and building something to actually deliver a message and communicate to someone. So this is our second project. Like I said, we're going to do this all the way through week 11. And I'm okay just turning you kind of loose. I'll see if you have any questions in a little bit to kind of go through that development process. And then I will be here to help you individually answer questions as you need to. If we go back over here to our syllabus, you will see that I have given us, this is week 6, I have given you 3.5 full weeks. 3.5 full weeks, I'll say that again, 6, 7, 8, and half of 9 before we have our first critique. Because I know for some of you, it's going back, it's nurturing this process, it's getting your message and looking at the videos and watching the videos, remembering how to use After Effects, and then nuancing the first couple of scenes. So this first critique is not going to be until March 10th, okay? Also note, class, that for the critique, I want you to fully render wherever you are in that video, okay? I want you to render it to an MP4 like you would your final, so then we can upload all those to the discussion board. Excuse me. Upload an MP4 to the discussion board, and everyone can watch it and view it, as opposed to trying to figure out what to do with all of your support files. And don't upload the raw After Effects file. So you will render this much like you would for your client to show the progress to a full MP4, and we'll upload those for the critiques. We're going to do 2 critiques. You'll see one is on March 10th, and then the second one is 2 weeks later on March 17th. Or no, I'm sorry, 1 week later on March 17th. And then we will turn this in, I believe, 1 week after that. So we're going to kind of give you some development time and then hit you with critique 1. Next week, critique 2. Next week, the final thing will be due. Okay. All right, class, so what kind of questions do you have? Let me open up my chat here, make sure I have everyone. Does that make sense to everyone? What kind of what I'm after? I'd rather over-explain than under-explain. All right, I'm really excited for this, to see what you do for your second project. Not only second project in After Effects, but second project in this class, because the brochures from everyone were so awesome. Okay, looks like I'm getting some yes, thumbs up, everything's okay at home. Thank you, everyone. All 5 of you that chimed in from home, I appreciate that. All of you in class. So I think we only have like 3. Yeah, we only have 3 people that aren't here right now. So that's good turnout. All right, class. So I will stop this recording unless you have more questions. I'll stop the recording and I will put this up on Blackboard if you would like to review anything that we did today. You can also just ask me too. I'm sitting right here. All right, I'm going to close the Zoom room then if you don't have any more questions at home. And I will, I'll be here if you have questions.